John Adams, 1735 to 1826, delegate from Massachusetts, drafter and signer of the Declaration of Independence. John Adams was born on the family farm in Braintree, Massachusetts, the home he would later return to after marrying his wife Abigail. At 16, he entered Harvard College, where his father hoped he would train for a career in the church. Instead, after graduating in 1755, Adams chose to become a school teacher for a few years, while plotting a path to become a great man. He decided that the best career to achieve this was the law. Adams returned to Harvard for a master's degree, read law with James Putnam, and in 1759 was admitted to the bar. For Adams, law and politics were joined, and by 1763, he had published his first essays, which were critical of the local colonial elite. Writing as a farmer named Humphrey Plowjogger, he attacked prominent office holders for their selfish pursuit of power. In 1765, Adams, again as Plowjogger, wrote a series of articles justifying colonial opposition to the Stamp Act. These articles proved to be a window into Adams' personality: intensely combative, brutally honest, full of self-doubt, but equally full of confidence in his cause. In 1770, Adams was in the political spotlight following the Boston Massacre, a violent clash between British troops and American protesters. During the high-profile trial that followed, Adams represented the British soldiers and secured acquittals for the British commanding officer and 6 others. Though the defense made him unpopular among some local citizens, the trial reflected well on Massachusetts' respect for justice, and soon after, Adams was chosen for the state's legislature. In 1774, Adams was elected as a delegate to the First Continental Congress. He and his cousin Samuel Adams became the leaders of the radical faction that opposed reconciliation with Britain. In early 1775, Adams published his Novanglus essays, which argued that Parliament had no authority to legislate for the American colonies in any way. By the time the Second Continental Congress convened, Adams had earned the nickname the Atlas of Independence. Adams influenced the decisions of Congress in significant ways, not only dominating the debate over independence, but nominating George Washington to lead the Continental Army and insisting that Thomas Jefferson draft the Declaration of Independence, despite being on the drafting committee himself. Adams gave 3 reasons for this. Reason first, you are a Virginian. Reason second, I am obnoxious, suspected, and unpopular. Reason third, you can write 10 times better than I can. Adams signed the Declaration of Independence on August 2, 1776. In the years that followed, Adams was everywhere at once, helping to shape American foreign policy, leading the Board of War and Ordnance, and in 1778, joining Benjamin Franklin in Paris to urge French support for American independence. The next year, Adams played a key role in drafting the Massachusetts Constitution, with its bicameral legislature and separation of powers that proved a model for the U.S. Constitution. His thoughts on government, which guided the writing of the Massachusetts Constitution, was circulated throughout the colonies and served as a major guidebook for drafting other new state constitutions. Adams' achievements were many, but his diplomatic skills were few. He was prone to outbursts and dismissive of compromise. Despite this, he was appointed ambassador to Great Britain in 1785, which meant that he was not present when the Constitution was framed and signed in 1787. In 1788, Adams returned to Massachusetts and resumed his life there, but the new nation had other plans. He was elected vice president under George Washington. As vice president, Adams resented playing a minor political role. Adams observed, "My country has, in its wisdom, contrived for me the most insignificant office that ever the invention of man contrived, or his imagination conceived." In 1796, Adams won election as president, defeating his one-time friend and now political rival, Thomas Jefferson. In foreign policy, Adams' presidency was dominated by the question of which side to support in the major struggle between France and Britain that arose following the French Revolution. Adams pursued a policy of neutrality, and in 1797, he sent commissioners to France to negotiate a new treaty. The French demanded bribes before talks could begin, a diplomatic debacle known as the XYZ affair. In response, Adams called for a military buildup in case of a French invasion, earning him a brief wave of public admiration. But this popularity didn't last, and in the election of 1800, he lost the presidency to Thomas Jefferson. His political career was effectively over. Politics fractured Adams' relationship with Thomas Jefferson. It would take until 1812 for Adams and Jefferson to reconcile. Benjamin Rush, a friend to both men, encouraged them to restore their friendship. The former presidents would go on to exchange letters with one another for the rest of their lives. On July 4, 1826, Adams died of a heart attack, aged 90. His last words were, "Thomas Jefferson survives." But it was not so. Jefferson had died several hours earlier.